When World War II ended, people said the world was split in two. But the real split wasn't made with weapons, it was made with gold. Right after the war, the United States didn't just win the battlefield, it gathered up almost all of the world's gold. By 1945, the largest share of global gold was locked behind the walls of Fort Knox. And that's exactly why the dollar suddenly became the foundation of the New World Order. With the Bretton Woods Agreement, the dollar was officially declared the most powerful currency in the world. Countries looking to protect their own money had no choice but to lean toward the dollar. But this wasn't just an economic decision. It was the quiet construction of a modern empire. With a single agreement, America took control of global liquidity. And then it made international trade depend on the dollar. From that point on, the entire game changed. In the East, Stalin built his own wall, a closed, centrally planned ruble zone. In fact, there wasn't much need for the dollar. But that's not how things worked in trade. Unfortunately, the Soviets had to import technological services, food, and devices from abroad. And for that, they needed hard currency: dollars, sterling, francs. This is where the Cold War begins now. In two systems that declared each other enemies, it all depended on this money. At the end of the 1940s, the United States launched the Marshall Plan, a massive aid package worth $13 billion. The real goal was to provoke Europe and bring an end to communism. What was truly desired was this: Western Europe became dependent on the dollar because the agreement required the recipient countries to trade with America. This was an invisible tactic. The Soviets did not accept this aid, but the real reason they refused was very clear. They did not want to acknowledge that their economy was falling apart. In the 1950s, Soviet oil was secretly flowing into Europe. The payments were certainly made in dollars. The intermediaries were Finland, Switzerland, and Austria. Western companies were lining up to get cheap energy. The Soviets continued collecting foreign currency. What remained for the outside world was propaganda. During the same period, the CIA and the KGB had established their own secret financial systems. Front company to offshore accounts, hidden operation funds. Money was the real common language of the Cold War. In the 1960s, the euro and dollar markets were born in London. Dollar pools held outside the United States, which Washington could not track. These markets became the invisible main source of the Cold War. Even Soviet banks were taking loans from them, gaining access to Western goods. The system that was created to hide communism was actually suddenly financing communism itself. In the 1970s, the oil crises triggered turmoil around the world. But this crisis brought Moscow far more profit than expected. Oil was sold in dollars, and the Soviets used those dollars to buy equipment and services from the West. Meanwhile, the United States activated its grand strategy. This was called the petrodollar system. All oil sales were made mandatory to be conducted in dollars. A country without dollars could not obtain energy. This meant the dollar became guaranteed. As oil became the blood of the economy, the dollar became its heart. Although the purpose of armament appeared to be maintaining peace, the background was nothing like that. It was new factories, new trades, and new credits. Every missile was a bond, and every bond was a new dependency. The Soviets were also part of this same cycle. Loans taken from the West were used for armament and technology. Both sides knew that destroying themselves would be a great danger. That's why the war was exported to third world countries. The fall of the Berlin Wall became a celebration of the end of history for the people. But history did not end. It had simply changed hands. The individuals who managed the Soviet Union's secret trade mechanisms became oligarchs overnight in the 1990s. Because money does not disappear, it only changes places. Even today, we still see the same tools: sanctions, frozen reserves, energy blackmail, currency wars. All of them are indicators of the Cold War. The Cold War was actually about liquidity more than ideologies, and that's why it cannot truly be considered over. Its name today is Globalization, but the strategy of the game is the same. Only the actors have changed. Back then, the curtain was made of iron. Today, its name is the digital age. And behind all these events, the same thing still holds true. Power is not in flags. It is in flows. If what I've explained gave you a new perspective, make sure to check out the other videos as well. There's a lot there that will surprise you. Subscribe. Let's uncover the hidden details of history together.